When we're dealing with electricity, it can be hard to develop an intuitive feeling about what is actually going on and how the different concepts relate to one another. After all, we can't actually see electricity, and we usually only feel it when something has gone very wrong. To help us develop a sense of what is happening, we're going to use a household plumbing analogy. We'll think about a simple water pipe with one end connected to the main supply pressure and a tap on the other. This is something easy to visualize that we're all familiar with, and for the purpose of automotive electrics does a pretty good job of relating the basic principles to one another. Voltage is equivalent to the water pressure applied to one end of the pipe by the water main system. If you live somewhere with decent water pressure, this might be 60 psi, for example. When you open the tap at the other end of the pipe all the way, you drop the pressure at this end of the pipe to the same as atmosphere. As we now have 60 psi of pressure at one end of our pipe and 0 psi at the other end, there is a pressure difference of 60 psi across the length of the pipe, and the water will flow along it out of the tap. Heading back to the electrical world, this is like connecting one end of our wire to the positive terminal of a 12-volt car battery. You're applying 12 volts of electrical pressure to one end of the wire. If you then connect the other end of the wire to the negative terminal of the battery, it's like opening the tap. You're applying 0 volts of electrical pressure to the other end of the wire. This means there's now a 12-volt difference in electrical pressure along the length of the wire, and the electrons in the wire will start flowing. This might seem pretty simple to follow initially, but there are some subtle points that require a little more explanation. In our pipe analogy, you can imagine that when you had your tap at the end of the pipe closed, you can fit a pressure gauge to the pipe anywhere along its length, and you will measure the 60 psi of pressure being applied by the main system. This is because the water is not flowing. It has nowhere to go because the tap is closed. Similar to this, in the electrical world, when you connect one end of a wire to the positive terminal of a battery, but leave the other end unconnected, or floating, it's like the tap is closed. The electrons have nowhere to go, so they won't be flowing, and you'll measure the 12 volts of applied electrical pressure at any point along the wire. The key concept here is that flow, be it physical or electrical, only happens when there is a difference in pressure at either end of the pipe, or wire. When you're reading or writing documentation, voltage has a unit of volts and the symbol of a capital V. Current is a measure of the number of electrons flowing through a wire past a fixed point per second. Linking to our plumbing analogy again, this is equivalent to the physical mass of water we have flowing through our pipe. For example, if we have our tap fully open and therefore have a difference in pressure of 60 psi across our pipe, we could expect this to be around 25 litres per minute. Similarly, back in the electrical world, when we connect one end of our wire to the positive battery terminal and the other end to the negative battery terminal, the applied 12 volts difference in electrical pressure will cause electrons to flow. Once again, this sounds relatively simple, but there are a couple of subtle points it's important to grasp. As explained when we talked about voltage, flow, be it electrons or water, only occurs when we have a difference in pressure. This concept works both ways, however, and it is equally true that we will only have a difference in pressure if we have flow. This is why when we connect one end of our wire to the positive terminal of the battery and leave the other end unconnected or floating, we will measure the same 12 volts at any point along the wire. Another important concept to grasp is that current always flows in a loop. Electrical circuits are called circuits for exactly this reason. It's like a race circuit. There is a start-finish line, which is the element in the circuit that supplies the electrical pressure. Typically, in our automotive world, this will either be the vehicle's battery or the alternator. When you're reading or writing documentation, current has a unit of amperes, or amps, and a symbol of either a capital I or a capital A. Resistance is a measure of how hard it is for the electrons to flow in response to an applied electrical pressure. It can be thought of as a restriction the tap imposes on the flow of water when it's only partially open. If we just barely crack the tap open and get a trickle of water coming out, this is a low flow rate as the tap is imposing a high resistance. Alternatively, if we open the tap fully, it will allow the maximum flow rate the main system can supply. This is a high flow rate as the tap is now imposing a low resistance. Back in the electrical world, the same concept applies. We have discussed connecting one end of a wire to the positive terminal of a 12-volt battery and the other end to the negative terminal. You should never actually do this, however, as the wire is like a pipe with the tap fully open. It has a very low resistance to flow, so a very large and dangerous current will flow. If we put something in the middle of the wire that the electrons find it harder to flow through, like a fuel injector for example, the resistance the fuel injector imposes will decrease the current flow. The key concept to grasp here is that different resistances cause different levels of current to flow in response to the same applied electrical pressure. In our plumbing analogy, the mains pressure never varied from 60 psi, but the flow of water varied in response to how far we opened the tap. This is why most electrical devices in a vehicle have a pretty narrow range of voltages that they will operate at. They're designed with a specific resistance that allows the right amount of current to flow through the device for it to operate correctly. This can only be done if the designer knows the narrow voltage range that the device will operate at. Luckily, for our industry, we know this is typically between 11 and 14.2 volts. If we apply a voltage that is either too low or too high, the wrong amount of current will flow and the device will either not work as expected or worse, be permanently damaged. Another idea I'd like to touch upon when talking about resistance is the term load. Electrical devices in a car are often referred to as placing a load on the electrical system. This term describes how hard the electrical system has to work to supply the required current to the device. As a device with a high resistance will require only a small current, it's actually only placing a small load on the electrical system of the vehicle. So load can be thought of as the opposite of resistance. The lower the resistance, the more current flows and the greater the load. When you are reading or writing documentation, resistance has a unit of ohms and a symbol of either a capital R or a capital Greek omega. That was just one of the 65 modules from our EFI Wiring Fundamentals course, which is the perfect place to start if you're interested in learning how to design and build EFI wiring harnesses. This course will teach you the fundamental electrical principles that you'll need to know, how to select the correct materials to ensure they can withstand the automotive environment, the wiring requirements of different sensors and actuators, and how to design a power supply and grounding scheme that will protect the harness in the case of a component failure. You'll learn how to correctly splice and insulate connections, how to bundle a harness and then sheath it to keep it tidy and protected. For more information and to purchase the course, click the link now.